Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward, TASA Midwinter Special Edition here in Austin, Texas. I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez. I have a very special guest with us today, Dr. Brandon Hubbard, Superintendent of Chilton ISD. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, for the viewers, the listeners, give us a little bit about Chilton ISD.
So I'd like to say Chilton ISD is a diamond in the rough.
Okay.
We're about 20 miles southeast of Waco in Falls County. We're a small 2A district. We are growing. 30% of our students right now are transfers, meaning that they drive from another town, another city to attend school in Chilton ISD.
That's outstanding. So you are creating demand.
Yes.
That is outstanding. So we were talking a little bit before we got started. You've got some exciting news to share about your district rating.
Yes, Chilton ISD achieved an A rating. That's super exciting for us. We are a district that has about 91% low SES, a lot of Hispanic speakers, English language learners. And so we are excited that we were able to break through some of those barriers and achieve that A rating. There are a lot of predictions and a lot of psychometric predictions that say we shouldn't hit that. And so we're excited that we broke through the barrier and we were able to get there.
So, I got to ask, right? When you do that, when you achieve that success, how did you do it? You don't have to give us the trade secrets, but share with our colleagues, how did you do it? What was the process? How'd you make that happen?
So I believe, and we believe in Chilton, that culture precedes achievement.
Okay.
So we focused on culture. When you're dealing with students that come from poor families, first generation college enrollees, then there are barriers that they have to overcome in order to achieve. Likewise, our teachers have to overcome barriers to be able to serve students who have those needs. And so we spend a lot of time on culture. I like to say that we focused a lot on SEL for our adults and our students. We champion 7 mindsets. We have Mindset Monday every week, and just remind kids that everything is possible, that they have to be accountable for their actions, and that the time is now. So we focus a lot on culture and creating that culture so students can thrive.
So when you hit that A, right, I've always, it's a great celebration, but as a leader, I know you're thinking, all right, we won a championship. How do we maintain? How do we keep going? How do we even grow more? So how do you do that? What's the message to the teachers after the celebration ends? You're like, all right, we got to get back to work and figure out how to take it to another level.
So I told them that getting the A was great, but I wanted that to be kind of the blood in the water for the shark. So we wanted that A to make them hungry, to keep going.
I like that.
To keep pushing so that we can make sure that we can maintain the A. We don't want to be a one and done. We want to make sure that we maintain and keep doing the things that we know work to get our students to outperform what statistics say.
That's outstanding. I like the analogy, by the way. So how would you characterize your leadership? Obviously, you're leading with culture and making sure that your staff and your students are well cared for so they can learn. But if we were at a midwinter conference and we were talking about leadership, how do you characterize yours?
I always characterize it as people, performance, and then places. So my first job is to take care of people. Parents send me their kids, adults come to me. So my first job is to make sure that they're safe, that people are safe. So in that sense, I'm a relational leader. I like to know all the kids. I like to know all of the adults, from, the bus driver to the boardroom. I like to know everybody personally. I believe that people work harder when they feel like you care. And so there are teachers, there are students that I, believe would run through a brick wall for me just because they know that I care about them as a person.
Well, that's outstanding. And I think that, oftentimes we get caught up in the data and, if TEA has a restructuring of the STAR test, we react to that. And sometimes the social emotional learning component, both for kids and staff, goes by the wayside because we're so focused and we know our community is focused and our accountability is driven on what those tests say at the end of the year. So I commend you for being able to stay the course. right? And now that it's paid off, and now that you're down that road, what is the vision? What's the ultimate vision? Like if you had Chilton ISD exactly where you wanted it, what would that district look like?
I think that's simple. We be a district that prepares academically, prepares our students academically, but we also prepare them for post-secondary life. With the school in our situation, we know that a lot of our students, they have to work while they're in college.
Sure.
So part of what we need to do is to prepare them for that work, whether it's certificates, whether it's certifications, whatever it is, we need to prepare them to be able to get through college. But we also need to prepare them academically. So we kind of have a twofold purpose. And if Chilton ISD was the district that I envision, every kid would leave with some sort of post-secondary certification or skill that would allow them the opportunity to provide for themselves and work through college, because that's what most of our kids do. So we have to prepare them academically, but also we have to give them the resources to survive and be breadwinners outside of school.
Absolutely. And I find now that I'm in the private sector, and I'm always asking the people that either I do business with or that we're having conversations with, it's like, what skills are you looking for? Like I've always wanted to dive more into that when I was in the education world. And now that I'm getting to hear it, it is the same thing that everybody's been saying for 10, 20 years. Can they show up? Can they work on a team? Can they communicate? Do they want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves? And not once has some very specialized skill come up, that they've got to have this, or the degree from Harvard or what. No, they just want good people that are going to come and contribute to the team. So I think you're doing a great thing by making sure they have both of that, right? The ability to do both. Not just, there's nothing worse when someone is very, very well educated but can't function within the team or within the community or even within their family. Teaching them those components will make them very successful, particularly in the business world, because that's what the owners and the CEOs are looking for, is just high-functioning adults.
That's it.
So I want your take on this. You know this as a superintendent. It can be a lonely spot, right? And it's part of our job is to try to groom the next generation of leaders. And here at a conference like this, I've talked to some of our colleagues about, I wish there was more opportunity along with the panels and kind of the fireside chats and all of that great learning that happens. I wish there was more opportunity to dig into all the failures, right? As you're grooming your next group of leaders, a lot of great learning comes from all of the mistakes that we've made. And it's hard. I know it's hard for us to be vulnerable and do that, but I think we're missing a big piece of training and mentoring that next group, because we don't really dive into that. We don't really talk about that, because I would argue that every single leader that has been a part of the session this week or in the past, there's been some failures along the way.
Definitely.
And I wanted your take on that. How do we get a little bit more vulnerable to share those experiences with the folks that are coming through the ranks that we're trying to groom and mentor?
Yeah, and you shared the key term, vulnerability. Sometimes as leaders, we are taught to act and seem as if we have everything together. We're never shaken. But I think that's a disservice to leaders that are coming in. We're setting them up for failure because they have to see that we are vulnerable as leaders. There are times when we don't know what to do. We scratch our heads. We're frustrated. We want to throw in the towel. But we have to push through, and we have to make those feelings. We have to make those experiences known. And I think as leaders, we have to work to provide the platform for other leaders to share their vulnerabilities without judgment, in a safe space for that.
Yeah, it's tough because obviously there's a bit of judgment, not necessarily in a negative way, but you're up there on the stage. People are listening to what you have to say. You've got some influence, and so you always want to have a good representation of who you are and what you've done. But at the same time, I would just like to hear more sharing in terms of that, because again, the overcoming of those obstacles or the bad decisions or the mistakes along the way, because we've all made them. That's where people can dig into, okay, why, and would we learn from it? How would you do it differently? I think those are the critical components that we've got to help. We've got to do a better job of giving that to the next generation.
I absolutely agree.
So I got to ask you now, you said 91% of your students are speak Spanish. How's your Spanish?
Well, 91% are low SES.
Oh, that's right.
About
That's right.
34% speak Spanish. So I will be honest, my Spanish is a little rusty. I took 4 years in high school and 4 semesters in college, and I actually understand a lot better than I can respond. So we're getting better.
I understand. No, yeah, me as well. So I feel like you were Spanish in high school, but that's such a need for teachers and administrators, particularly in Texas. And
Definitely.
You know how hard it is, finding great multilingual educators across the state. So what do you do when you're not working for the district or thinking about education? I know that doesn't really happen, but what do you do for fun?
For fun, I love to travel. Love spending time with my family, love to travel.
Where's your spots? Where do you like to go?
I'm on any cruise ship that's open. That's my place to unplug and unwind. I don't buy the Wi-Fi when I go, so it's really hard for me to get in touch or for me to stay connected because you're in the middle of the ocean and nothing works. So that's my unwinding place.
Is there one place that you love to go, but the family rolls their eyes when
Of course. I love the Grand Canyon, and I love to drive to the Grand Canyon. And so the family, they get a little irritated when I tell them that I want to drive to the Grand Canyon.
So y'all road trip it?
Yes.
How many times have y'all been?
I've been at least 3 times.
And when did it lose its luster for the family?
After the first time.
That's outstanding.
After the first time.
Well, it's one of those things, and you know this, like we spend so much time with other people's kids and supporting our teachers. It's good to have that time for your family.
Yes.
If there's one school event that you could attend, and I know you don't have a favorite, but something that you look forward to every year that the kids, whether it's a sports or whether it's a celebration, or what would that be?
I look forward every year to our Pirate Wonderland. So we transform our parking lot into just a winter wonderland. We've had ice skating rinks, we have bounce houses, we have vendors and food trucks, but it's just a community event for everyone to come together as a community. We practice what we call our live to give mindset. So we do deliveries to families, just a great time of year and a great atmosphere where the entire community comes together to demonstrate the live to give mindset.
That sounds like a great time. I'm sure the community loves that as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of your community, so it's not a secret. Districts are struggling finding great teachers, right? And you've talked a lot about the culture that you've built there. Why would a teacher come? Why make the case? Why come to Chilton ISD and be a part of your family there?
Because it's an environment where we do operate like a family. Now, I will be honest, like most families, we have disagreements.
You don't take them to the Grand Canyon, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But we still operate as a family. So when there's a need, we go above and beyond to meet that need. We support you hands-on. I like to brag that about 20% of our staff are Chilton ISD graduates that have gone to college and come back to Chilton ISD because there's that family feel and they
Right.
want to give back the way
They love the
someone
community.
poured into them.
Yeah, absolutely. You built the so if you're having that many students come back, there's clearly a great culture, a great environment, and there's a tug on the heartstrings
Yes.
to come back and serve. So I commend you for that. Well, I appreciate you joining. It was great to meet you, by the way. And I've heard of Chilton ISD. I didn't know where exactly it was, but I know a little bit more now, and you're doing great work. They're fabulous work.
Yes, sir.
So what's Shoutouts? Do you have any Shoutouts? Is there any calls to action? Do you want to share anything from the district? Any social media stuff that you want people to take a look at? Is there anything that you can share?
You can always find us on social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so we like to shout out all the great things that are happening in Chilton ISD. We are heading toward a bond 2023
All right.
election, so we want to encourage and motivate our community to support our students and give our students what they need in order to be successful. It's amazing how our teachers are able to thrive and our students are able to thrive given the resources that we have. So we're just looking for an even greater level of achievement when we give them all the resources that they need to thrive. So we're excited about it and looking forward to it.
Well, that's outstanding. And to all our listeners and our viewers, if you'll do the deal, right, hit the like, the subscribe, please comment, and check out Chilton ISD, Dr. Hubbard, and the great things that are happening there. And thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having us.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
You as well.
Thank you very much.
Produced by Podcast Architects.